It's amazing. It's amazing to just see how fast time moves and flies.
Yeah.
The Father's in the spirit world, He's with us.
Yeah.
But sometimes I really do miss Him. You know, physically. And you know, we were of course, you know, we were with Father in the East Garden, different properties and things like that. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have a relationship with Father. Just because you're born His child. And yeah, it was interesting for me. It was when I got into a lot of the, because we're born in the West, but when we got into a lot of the Asian calligraphy and things like this, that was able to connect with Father a lot. Not necessarily Asian philosophy and stuff like that, because a lot of that's very different. And you know, I talk about it all the time, at least relativism and all that. But just for example, Father is a calligraphy artist. So this was before I went to divinity school. So anyways, Father also taught. You know, we would spend time doing calligraphy. And Father would teach me the basic, you know, strokes and things like that. Those are very precious memories. Almost like transferring his skills, you know. And of course, when Father was, of course, in the 90s, and we served him, but he was also very excited. He was also always very happy to see us doing like the combat martial arts and things like this. And we would at Kamundo Island, we would spend many times like if the emergency alert came on and then you can't go out because the government shuts down the ports. You can't go fishing, you can't go out. So in those instances, we would stay in and we would study martial arts. So we would watch the UFC and mixed martial arts and MMA and this kind of thing. And then he would call in security guards and I would demonstrate on them and, you know, beat them up a little bit. And that was such an important part. You know, Father really saw it critically. And he was very proud. You know, when I brought like, you know, MMA fighters and stuff like that all around him, you know, professional fighters and everything, he was so happy to have these kind of people around. Because there's certain honesty that happens in those kind of arts. You know, you can't lie about your skill level. You can't pretend about your skill level. And everything comes out kind of transparent. So there's a real honesty in those kind of arts. You know, and also, we talk about it many times, but it also builds conservatism, conservative thinking. You have to learn how to conserve your energy. You have to learn how to conserve your strength. You have to learn how to conserve your, you know, power. And that leads you to learn about consequences. If you don't conserve your energy or strength, then you will lose. You'll be defeated. If you have to work hard to get better. Nobody can do it for you. You know, so these kind of principles are very important. And so Father really always loved the arts that built those kind of things. Of course he did ballet, you know, he sponsored ballet and that kind of stuff. The more feminine arts or whatever. But he wanted as a core, especially for like young people education, to do those harder arts. What we call PPT worship. And it's through those things that people actually break out of delusion. And you have to confront reality. You have to confront the reality of your own, you know, level. of your own, weakness. You have to confront the reality of what you think about your ability and your real ability is completely different. And so you have to go through these things, and that forces you to grow and become more mature and learn the values of responsibility. What we politically call conservatism. And this was a very unseen facet of Father and his desires and his likes, his loves, because the people around him obviously don't want to show this religious leader. They want to kind of present him as a Dalai Lama to make him more liberal and make him more trendy, not show who he really is. That he wants, that Father's also establishing a nation. Establishing sovereignty. And so those kind of things were sort of a push in the background because of fear of image. In which that's not really the case. Most conservative people do fishing, hunting, syndicates of martial arts, and things like this, and know the value of self-defense, all those kind of things. Father, of course, was also absolutely huge in the practice of both fishing and hunting for spiritual and physical development and character development. And I've thought about that because I've never liked those arts so much. Probably because I was forced to do them from a very, very young age. Hours and hours in the boat. But when I reflect on it, those are arts like fishing and hunting are arts where you have to actually take life. You have to kill something. And when you kill something, you have to know who you are. You can't think you're a vegetable. You can't think you're lower than this being. You can't think, you have to know exactly who you are, what your place is in this universe. What is your standing in this universe? You know what I mean? You can't, if you think you're just an animal, or if you think you're less than a vegetable, you really can't go around killing a deer or something. But if you know you're a child of God, and you have dominion of creation, that God desires for us to have sovereignty and have dominion over creation. And that also means having his power of taking life. You recognize something very different about your existence, your place in the grand scheme of things, and your place in the cosmos. So as I reflect more on fishing and hunting and things like that, I recognize that it is unique in terms of a sporting training in the fact that you have to take life. I mean, you take life every day. Everybody here, you say hamburger, you're killing something. You just don't have to do it. So all you do is your detachment. But you are involved in the killing of animals. You just don't have to do it. So that's a problem. People have become so detached from their actual reality. They are actually killing animals. They are actually and you can't play the vegetarian that you're killing plants too. So you are killing things to have to, sustain yourself. But it's just that we've become deluded. We've become separated from that action, and so thus we never reflect on our actual position in terms of the created world. So when I look at Father and his, super focus on really those three realms, fishing, hunting, and martial arts training, as the main places of what he called developing civilization and even peace militia. I see now more and more how valuable that is if we understand the context. I wish somebody kind of explained to me the context when we were doing it instead of just making me do it. That would have helped me a lot. So explain me why I'm doing this all day long. You know, but as I reflect on it, it really is a different type of activity. You know, in soccer, you can't kill your opponent. In tennis, you can't kill your opponent. You're not killing anything. You know, even in mixed martial arts, you're not killing your opponent. I mean, you kind of are. I mean, in a sense that if the referee didn't stop it, or jiu-jitsu, even if you submit somebody, you basically have admitted that you died. Like if I would have held that, you would have been dead right now. And so that's closer. And so I think that's why those kind of sports, you will see the majority of people who do those kind of sports are more conservative. They learn that they don't want to just go on, you know, power driven and just kill people. They don't want to do that because they know what it feels like to take a life, like an animal, a deer or something. They'll do it to survive, they'll do it to feed their family, but they don't enjoy the killing aspect, but they know that they have to, if they have to do it, they'll do it. And that is, of course, something that is absolutely critical about the nature of Father. You know, he's not a pacifist. I mean, God is not a pacifist. And if you think about it, you don't want a father who is just a pacifist. Unless you be overtaken by evil forces. You want a father who would teach you and empower you to be able to protect yourself, others, and protect your neighbor. You know? So when I reflect on the Father's desire for training, and the more I think about and reflect on Peace Police, Peace Militia, training, practice, how important it is. And you can see the microcosmic impact the training the young people here. And there's a lot of young people who train with us right here. I didn't know there'd be this many young people, but there's a lot of kids that train with us here. But you can see they don't know it. They just are just training and just trying to get better. But even that, the microcosm aspect is making a macrocosmic impact. Like you can see, just a couple of days ago, Czech Republic is going to be giving arms to all those people, freedom to bear arms. Right? And Poland and Hungary, I think it's Hungary, is now going to be making all women enter the military.
Wow. Good.
Which is great. I mean, it's great for women because girls also, as people, need to get through those rites of passage, which force them to break out of delusion. You know, it's not only girls that get deluded, boys get deluded too. But when they do the real hard training, then you doesn't mean you're perfect, but you are breaking through a lot of the blocks that impede you on their path. And they also teach you real aspects of leadership, how to control your emotions, not to rely on your emotions. That doesn't mean you don't become emotional, but not to rely on them. They cloud your vision. They make you weaker. They suck your energy. You're fighting using your whole force against somebody, and somebody's dominating you, and you just get emotional and cry about it, you're going to get killed. You learn that very quickly.